Hey, sorry for the audio quality on this podcast episode. We thought it'd be better to record us all in one room on a single mic, and that didn't really work out. We also did it in the living room, so the echo was pretty bad. After the Golden Sun podcast, the audio will be much better. I fixed what I could, and yeah, just letting you know that the rest won't sound this bad. Thanks for listening. This is Experience Shared, your gaming book club. Sera, Mabel, Kanny, and Rook pick a game to play, then, after playing it, they get together to discuss the game. If you want to participate, you can join the Discord at bit.ly/expdisco. There you can join the discussion, recommend games, and even get your review in an episode. Now let's get started. Hello everybody, I'm Sera Proto, and welcome to Experience Shared. I'm here with Mabel. Say your name, stop being funny.
Oh, you already said it, so what?
No, you're trying to be funny, you're trying to be silly, goofy, haha. Say it.
Hello, welcome to Experience Share. I'm Blythe, and I'm here with...
Sera.
Kanny.
Hi, I'm Up Dog.
Wow, that wasn't really that hard. How'd you mess that up, Sera?
Alright, so this first episode, we're not really going to talk about a particular game. This first one's just a rundown of what the show is, what we're going to do, and stuff like that. What?
What?
What are you doing? What are you doing that's making Kanny laugh?
Just get a device out.
You get a device
I don't
out?
have anything out.
Yeah, you do. I can see your little fucking Game Boy. You had your chance to play.
You ruined the joke. I was going to say, 1 second, I was going to boot up Golden Sun, but...
Okay. Well, this first episode is just about talking about what the show is about, and then in the next one, it will talk about Golden Sun, and then in the next one, it'll be Pink Panther, and, so on and so forth. But this first one is basically just talking about what we do. So, I'm Sera Proto from Sera's Things, the channel that you're watching this on if you're on YouTube, and if not, you're watching this on the Experience Shared page on Spotify and where other podcasts live. So, what Experience Shared is it's essentially a book club for video games. I came up with the idea. I'm sure it's been done before, but I don't know. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. I mostly listen to Mabim Bam and stuff like that. So the point of Experience Shared is it's a book club. We pick a game. Each of us take turns picking a game, and then we get together and we play it, and we come back and talk. Mabel's always doing something, and it makes me freaking paranoid.
She's just staring at me. I just look over and she's like...
Alright.
What do you want me to do?
So,
I don't know what you
after we play the game, we get together and we talk about it, and we've all taken notes, and we basically each, we're all reviewing it collectively. Like, the council is hearing your case about your game, I don't know. We all have different tastes, and I thought we'd take a moment to talk about our different tastes, our experience with games and stuff like that, and what you're interested in. I've already done a lot of talking, so why don't one of y'all talk about, what kind of games you like and stuff like that? When did you start playing games? What do you normally play?
Rook goes first.
I didn't know.
No, you touched yourself.
Yeah.
I touched my nose.
Yeah,
I wanted to make that
he's touching
very
himself.
clear.
He's touching himself.
He's touching himself.
Man's got a dick.
He's whipping his cock out. Alright, Mabel, go ahead and talk about...
Why me? He already made the motion.
It's a podcast. We're all going to be talking. Y'all can't become shy now.
This bullshit. Why is it always me first? Why do I gotta carry everything like I'm Atlas with the world? I've always loved video games ever since I was born. I was a little bitty baby. I played...
Nice.
Ripping open the fat one. Alright.
So loud on this fucking...
Alright, go ahead, Mabel.
Rip open the cold one. Anyways, I've enjoyed games since the Game Boy Advance. My Tamagotchi won't shut up.
Remove the batteries. You don't care about it anyway.
Well, I'm hoping to kill it.
You want to be the one to kill it? That's messed up.
Like a neglectful mother, I'm not listening to its cries.
Oh my god.
Pop a little cigarette smoke out on it.
Was the Game Boy Advance your first video game console?
It's kind of a blur back then, but I think my very first video game console was the Nintendo 64. I remember... I didn't own a Nintendo 64, but I did play on it. I remember playing Mario 64, Mortal Kombat, and Superman 64 on it.
Did they have Mortal Kombat on the N64?
Mm-hmm.
So N64, what kind of games do you like?
I don't know. That's really hard to say because you look at me and I play a lot. If I had to say, I guess what I mostly stick to is roguelikes and Sims.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when I see you playing, I mostly see you playing Colony Sims.
I can't help it. It's very fun. It's very fun to turn people into couches on RimWorld.
Honestly, I think that's really boring, so you can already see there's a pretty big difference in tastes here already. I don't like Colony Sims at all. They're too much like strategy games, and I don't like strategy games.
Yeah, it's totally a strategy to sell human skin couches. Make a market.
Yeah, marketing strategy.
That was an awful joke. All right, Sarah will no longer be on Experience Shared. She's
This
been
is
fired
our
already.
last episode.
Been voted off the island.
All right, Connie, your turn.
So, my first console I ever owned was the Game Boy Color. But before that, I had my parents' PC, so...
She still has her Game Boy Color, too. It's a little gold one with Pikachu and Pichu on it.
It's not gold, silver.
It's like a goldish silver.
It's goldish. It's
Is it?
just that all the gold's been rubbed off from so
Yeah.
many years
Yeah.
of use.
Yeah, I'll go grab it real quick.
But,
I know it's gray.
It's like a grayish gold. Anyway,
I mean, I have.
She's
one.
allowed to go grab the other.
I originally was a PC gamer growing up. I remember playing like snow bowling and stuff like that.
It's gold, it's just very aged.
Oh yeah, okay. Now that I see it in the light,
In the light,
actually.
yes.
Yeah, it's gold flecks, and because it's like, had hands and sweat and stuff like that, it's eaten away at the gold.
Yeah, that was my very first console that I ever owned, and that was the thing that I could call mine, because I also had my brother around too. I got that for my 5th birthday, and
Yeah, you got a Game Boy Color at a younger age than I did.
yeah, I got it.
Yeah, that's right. Y'all all have had siblings. I don't have siblings. I
Oh,
never
yeah.
grew up with siblings.
So this is your first experience of playing games with people.
So you never had a sibling that said that to like take up your game when
Yeah.
you weren't good enough at it.
You never had a sibling take your game, play it, and save over your save file.
Yeah,
I've had that happen 3 times, and I only have one sibling.
I had my cousin, but we didn't live together. So like a lot of the time, if I played, she had the Wii before I had a Wii, I think. So because
Yeah, that's how my cousin was too. She had a 3DS before I had one.
because we had DSs. We both had DSs at the time, and we had DS Lites when we had them. We got the original DS, and then we got a DS Lite. And she had the pink one, and I had the white one growing up. And then I had the blue original Nintendo DS.
It seems silly to have multiple DSs, but I think people forget just how ugly the original DS was.
I loved it.
That thing was a
actually.
brick, but it's
hideous.
iconic. I think it's iconic.
But we played Wii a lot at her house, but she had a bunch of knockoff games because originally her parents didn't want her to have video games. But then she didn't originally care about video games, and then she started getting into the Wii and stuff like that
Yeah, the Wii made everyone a gamer.
and then that's when that happened. So yeah, I've never experienced sibling thing. I played Battlefront 2 by myself, but I loved that.
I did too, because it was back on PlayStation 2, and I didn't have the internet adapter or anything like that. I didn't have internet until I was 18.
I don't think I actually
anybody
ever
said it.
got. I don't think I ever got into online gaming until about RuneScape. Then that was about 2007 or 2006. I can't remember.
All right, and what kind of games do you like?
That's kind of a hard question. I mostly like cooperative games, like MMOs and stuff. But then I also like immersive. What?
Yeah, I was
Remembering another story?
Yeah.
What is it?
The fact that you had internet at 18, I was 13 at the time.
Yeah, don't go telling people that a lot. I'm 33 and she's 27, so there's a...
Oh no, then I was 12 at the time then.
Yeah.
Damn.
Don't say that. We both met as adults. That's all I'm gonna say. We both met as adults.
Well, it's very funny because, Rook and you are in your 30s. I'm only behind by 6
Fine.
years.
In our 30s. Oh my god, that hurt me more than it should have. You said that and I actually felt offended for a second.
When I had I don't even know what you were doing on the internet when you got it.
When I got it?
Yeah.
Oh, I was playing Halo. I played Halo 3 a lot.
Yeah, okay.
And then Call of Duty Black Ops 1.
Now think about that, and then the fact that me with the internet at the same time you had internet, I was playing Roblox.
God.
Alright. Well, I'm glad we met when we were both adults.
You don't have to keep if you keep reiterating it like
sounds
that.
weird, I know.
It sounds like we didn't meet up as adults.
Alright, so preferred games. You already said MMOs.
I like MMOs. I grew up with lots of computer games. I distinctly remember like Roller Coaster Tycoon, and then also like I also like immersive sims too.
Okay, what kind of like console games
What
did you play?
immersive sims are you talking about?
Well, here's the thing. I didn't get like a console until I was about like 10 or 11 when I got my GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the GameCube I gave to Gwen. That was my first console that I ever had. The game that came with it was Super Monkey Ball Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition.
Oh, I remember my first time getting Monkey Ball. My mom went to the rental store to pick up video games, and she said, I couldn't find the one you were looking for, but there was this one there called Super Monkey's Balls. And she said, it sounded hilarious, so I got it for you. And I played it, and I was like, this is actually great. This is great and funny.
But yeah, I did not have the coordination to play that game. The other game I got was Scooby-Doo.
Night of 100 Frights.
I think so. I think it was that one, or it was there might have been another one. But
That one's got so many Easter eggs in it. Like, if you play it during the right times of year, it'll activate the special backgrounds and stuff for, like, different seasons.
yeah, I want to play it again just because I never beat it and I never understood the like platforming or anything. So I would want to play it again if I ever got like, the chance to.
I'm not big on licensed games, but I know I'm going to end up playing a lot of games that I don't want to play for this.
Scooby-Doo had like 2 games.
Yeah, there was like 2 GameCube games.
There was a Game Boy Color game as well, I believe, but yeah. It was based off of an episode. It was based off the Jekyll and Hyde episode. But, alright, Rook, when did you start? What did you play? And what do you like to play?
Oh wait, can I interject just a little bit more?
Yeah, real quick.
Okay, so, and then I got the Wii, obviously. That was like my parents trying to get me active, you know?
Mm-hmm. Active. Oh yeah, right. The Wii came out during the fat kid crisis.
Yeah.
Everyone was very worried that children were getting overweight, so parents were getting really obsessive with that, and they were like sending their kids to fat camps and buying Wii to get them more active, buying the Wii Fit to get them more active, anything to get them to stop sitting on the couch.
But I distinctly remember the night we got the Wii, me and my dad were doing Wii boxing. And we got so sweaty that he almost passed out.
It sounds like your dad needed it more than you.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, and then when I got into, like you know, the big kid, like, generation of gaming, that was in high school when I got my 360. Mm-hmm. And that's my first game I ever bought for it was Halo Reach. And that was when I started getting into, like, the FPS genre of like games.
Yeah, I'm so old. I started with Halo 2 and then Halo 3, and then I remember Halo Reach came out and all the Halo 3 players was like, this kind of sucks. And then a few years later, I miss Reach. Alright, Rook, your turn.
Hi, I'm Rook. I think my first console was also the N64.
I never owned an N64.
Neither did I.
My mom got it for me, I think, secondhand or something. I don't know. All I know is I had Banjo-Kazooie on it, and I did not know how to play Banjo-Kazooie. And so I would just sit there and start up the game and then watch, like, the little previews that were playing before.
Oh my god, you were born... Oh, Rook, if you don't know this about Rook, Rook watches Let's Plays all day.
Not all day.
So
Yeah.
that Rook started
As a Let's Player.
as watching the demos instead of playing the
Listen.
game. You were born a YouTube kid before it came out.
I didn't understand fully how to play the game, okay? So I just, like, would watch the demos that would happen, and then my mom was like, honey, you gotta try and play the game. And I'm like, okay. And so I would get to the part where it was, like, the very first thing where you go through, like, the painting to get to the very first world. And it was, like, in that witch's house, and I kept trying to go up the sliding thing that you're not supposed to go up until later.
And because you're a kid, you didn't...
I didn't understand I'm not supposed to do that, so I just kept trying to go up and up and up and up, and then I'm like, this is frustrating, I don't like it anymore, and then I stopped playing, and my mom would be like, okay.
But I played Banjo-Kazooie as an adult, and I didn't like Banjo-Kazooie. Maybe because I played it on the 360, and by then it was way too late.
I don't know.
So maybe we gotta revisit Banjo-Kazooie.
I feel like you would have liked Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition because it has a bunch of demos for all the games as a separate game.
Listen,
yeah.
I understand now.
Just him scrolling through it and then watching the little previews
all
as they
the
go
previews for it.
I understand now that that's not how you play the game, okay? I was, 6?
Okay, what was
You must have been so fascinated. You're like, how did I get it? And it's just, the funny thing is like, those were made so they didn't get screen burn in.
Alright, so what was the first video game you played?
Oh, the
Like,
first...
play.
The
Well,
first...
I mean, technically you did play Banjo-Kazooie.
For like 5 minutes.
The first game I technically played was on my Game Boy Color. I had a lime green Game Boy Color.
Gross.
I know, right?
Actually, it was called Kiwi Green.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah, it was called Kiwi Green.
It was Pokemon Yellow.
Oh,
that was my
that's
first
right.
one.
And you told us how you had... I'll let you tell the story. Sorry.
It was my very first handheld console. Because before that it was always Nintendo 64, which my mother then gave away because she realized he's too young to know how to play this.
You were gonna play it.
Yeah, you're not gonna play it properly. It's just gonna sit there. And then I, at some point, accidentally spilled like orange soda on it. My mom was like, "Okay, we're gonna give that to someone else." So she gave it to my brother's father, and his kids got joy out of it, which at least they got some joy from someone.
Were you mad about that?
Not really.
I would have been furious.
Not
even
really.
if I didn't play it.
But it's not the first time she's given away a console of mine. But we'll get to that in a second. So I had my little lime kiwi green Game Boy Color, and I was like 8. I was having a hard time learning to read and reading, and I booted up Pokemon Yellow because I'd been watching Pokemon around that time, and I was like, there's a game for it? And I'm like, yeah, here you go. I was unable to read properly, so I would take my Game Boy, put in Pokemon, turn it on, and be like, wow, Pikachu! And then as soon as anything came up, I'd go to my mom and be like, what does this say? And she would read it for me. And she's like, oh, this is cute. And then I'd be like, okay. And then I hit the A button. And then I'd be like, okay, what does this say? And as you can already guess, that gets annoying fast. So she's like, okay, I'm going to take this away from you, and you will get it back when you learn how to read.
I should have gotten you Mario or something. And no reading ability required.
And of course, I was like, oh man, but I want to play with Pikachu. And so I studied hard in school to learn how to read properly, so I could play Pokemon Yellow all on my own. And that's where my love of Pokemon comes from, because it made me learn how to read.
Damn.
I think it's funny that we both of our first experiences with games were Pokemon Yellow, because my Game Boy Color came with Pokemon Yellow.
Yeah, it came with
well.
Pokemon Yellow because there's a little Pikachu on it.
Now my problem was I couldn't get past the first gym because it was Brock and you had Pikachu.
Oh, yeah. That's so... they did not think about the
They did not
balancing
think that
behind
through
that.
at all.
No.
So I was stuck on the first gym, unable to beat it until I leveled up Pikachu enough to be able to beat Brock.
Yeah, and then there was the problem of, oh, I'm gonna get my Pikachu to like level 20, and then it wouldn't listen to you, and it's like,
Yep.
aw, man.
Yeah.
So it was like, maybe I'll win this time once I restart the game.
Damn, it reeks in here. Smells like Pokemon fan.
Shut up. I also had PS2, and it's important because it was on Christmas one year.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a bunch of games. And apparently, my mom didn't think I seemed that excited about it. Because, like, the same day when my uncle was there, she gave him my PS2 and told him to take it. Yes. The same day.
Didn't even like take it to GameStop where you could get. Oh my god.
Well, my uncle was a gamer apparently, because when we were going through like our storage, like last year, we found out that he had a Genesis and he had like all these games like Contra, a lot of Madden games because he was a big football fan.
Yeah.
And then just a bunch of Genesis games. Luckily, I got my PS2 back. I never got any of the games back for it. He probably sold them because it's like, you know.
That was about
You
one.
probably didn't even touch it. You probably played the Genesis more than the actual PS.
No, he played the PS2 because, like, his copy of Cabela's Big Hunt was in there when I got it back.
Oh my lord. He's one of those old dudes. He's like, I don't play that Burnout or anything, but I love Madden, I love Cabela's Big Hunt.
Had he been born younger, he would probably be a Call of Duty gamer.
Probably. I'm gonna be honest. He was also, like, huge on hunting. So, you know, the Cabela's Big Score or whatever made sense.
That reminds me of my uncle, who I didn't think was a gamer until I saw him playing, like, what was it? I saw him playing, like, Madden as well on PS2.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the other games he was playing, which I never thought he would play, was, like, one of the Evil Dead games for... Is that a PS2 game? Or
Yeah, I think it's a PS2 game. I remember seeing it a little bit, but it was before I had a memory card, so I couldn't make actually any progress in it.
That's one of those games I wish I could, like, just go back in time and play, because I only saw, like, remember...
It doesn't hold up incredibly well.
I know, but, like, it's one of those things where you see it, but you don't know what the hell it is. You can only, like, just...
It doesn't hold up in the well that there's some ableism in there.
Oh!
Yeah.
That's what
It's
you
an
meant.
Evil Dead game.
Yeah, well, there's a little person you kick around to get access to certain areas.
Oh.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
That's really bad.
And you know they're going to make jokes about it, because this was post-Army of Darkness, when they decided they were going to be funny about these things.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what that just reminded me of.
Those were my first couple. Just one more funny story about consoles. I had a little, Game Boy Advanced SP. It was purple. And I'm like, I like purple. And my grandma was like, oh, I'm sure you do, sweetie. And then she got that for me one Christmas. And then I lost it. I couldn't find it anywhere. And then they're like, okay, we'll just get you another one. But you gotta be very careful with this one. I'm like, okay. And I was playing it one day, and then I dropped it on the floor, and I go down and pick it up, and sticking out from under my couch was the other piece Game Boy Advanced. I just never looked there.
Oh.
So now I had two Game Boy Advances, one solid purple, one see-through purple.
I think you mean atomic purple.
Atomic purple.
Whatever. I love the see-through technology look. It's very...
I hate it. It makes
I
it
love
look
it.
cheap.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Especially if it's opaque. Opaque, see-through, gold. Wow.
It looks more fragile to me.
Same.
But those were my first experiences with consoles, handheld, and, whatever. Games I like, well, it's obvious now. Pokemon likes, character or monster catcher games. turn-based RPGs, stuff like that. Stuff where you have to, like, sit and think about what you want to do next.
Yeah, Rook has simulation sickness, so Rook can't play a lot of first-person games for long without wanting to hurl. So a lot of Rook's tastes have geared more towards the slower-paced games.
Like, casual.
Damn.
That's what RPGs are. They're slow-paced. They're 30 hours long. How are they not slow-paced?
That's true. I also really like farming sims. I don't know what it is.
Lots
I just
of
like...
Stardew.
Yes, I have like...
Tisms.
I have over 100 hours in Stardew.
If you only played one, does that count as you liking farming sims?
I've
or just
played
liking
more-
Stardew to Ellie?
I've played more farming sims.
I've seen them play.
You
like,
should play Rune Factory.
I tried Rune Factory. I didn't like it.
Which one?
Damn.
The first one.
That's the one I liked, so I don't know. But
Yeah, no, I didn't like
Dejected.
Rune Factory.
Harvest Moon?
On, I believe, Game Boy Advance, and I wasn't a fan. No, it was DS, and I wasn't a fan. I was not a fan.
Alright.
Like she said, I can't do a lot of first-person stuff, but I have been trying to do more first-person, like, co-op things with them, and it's been fun. It's harder because, you know, I get sick. I've been a fan of point and clicks since I was a child. And
I hate point and clicks.
a lot of my games for this show is going to be point and click. And you're all going to have to deal with that.
Good thing we already said we're fine with walkthroughs.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't care. Get a walkthrough.
You gonna
Okay.
make us play Leisure Suit Larry?
No,
Okay.
gross.
Sierra ones are the worst because they just...
It's just so random how
Yeah.
you die. And it's
I
like,
can.
why did that happen?
I'd say the only point and click game I'm ever actually interested in is probably Grim Fandango.
haven't played that.
I have never played
yeah,
it.
never
My
played
God!
Grim
If we
Fandango.
ever play Grim Fandango, you're gonna need a walkthrough.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I watched someone play it for a little bit and I was like, how was he supposed to know that? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, apparently there was a remaster version. I don't know if it's any better,
Yeah, it's on the Game Pass.
but supposedly it's been reworked or redone.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
Speaking about point and clicks, I had a putt-putt game. I never beat it.
Putt.
We
How
were-
do you never beat a putt?
I've never
game?
played a
Yeah.
putt-putt.
I just didn't have the patience to play it.
Oh
okay.
my god.
I've never played a putt-putt.
We put a bunch of games from what was the company?
Humongous Entertainment.
We put a bunch of games from Humongous Entertainment on the list last night. So like Putt Putt, Freddy Fish,
Pajama Sam.
Pajama Sam.
That's gonna be on
Funny
there.
enough,
They're easy ones. They're only an hour long.
They all made point and click games.
Humongous Entertainment was basically just point and click for children.
I also put some CDI
Damn.
ones on there, like Hotel Mario and Wand of Gamelon.
We might have to just play, backyard baseball. And,
Backyard Baseball is Humongous Entertainment.
yeah.
Backyard Baseball was another game I remember playing on the GameCube.
I hate sports so much. I hate sports games so much.
I think the only one I'd actually be interested in playing again would be Backyard Baseball for the GameCube because they actually have like power-ups and stuff. And then Super Mario Strikers or like any of like those.
Yeah,
sport
I want to
games.
play the Mario ones because they tend to be good, except for Ultra Smash, which was terrible.
Super Mario Strikers was pretty cool.
Alright, so my first video game console was the Game Boy Color. My mom and her husband went on a vacation to Hawaii for a honeymoon. And this is kind of funny because we had been poor up until that point, until he started living with her, and then he also started working as her manager for her modeling career. And that's when we started to have a lot of money in the house. We lived in a condo and stuff like that. And he turned out to be a gay guy who was a con man who
Damn.
who was using her as a long con. This was her third marriage, and they're not even legally married or whatever. So it's like I also have that funny story about how my second dad left to take out the trash and never came back. But yeah, like that one where they go out for Moke and never come back. I've actually had that happen. But
That's nuts.
they went on a honeymoon to Hawaii, and they came back, and they got me something. And at this point, I had been watching Pokemon every morning before school, and I had no idea they had video games for it. Because once the ads came on, I went to go take care of my cereal bowl or whatever. And then they came back. They handed me a blue Game Boy, and then they handed me a game with it, and it was Pokemon Red. And they said, we wanted to get you the blue one so it would match the color of the system, but they didn't have it. And I lost my I had no idea that they made a game for it. And then but before that, they gave my brother a pack of Pokemon cards. I didn't know they had cards for it either. So they gave my brother a bunch of the cards, and they were like, "Oh, we didn't think you'd like the cards as much as the other thing we got you." And I was like, "Oh, what'd you get me?" And then they handed me the Game Boy, and then that's when I was like, "You were right. I love this." I played that, and only that, for several months. I beat Pokemon. I deleted my save, played through it again. I had to play through it a couple extra times because my brother saved over the save file when I told him, "Hey, you can play, but you can't save, because if you save, you're going to delete my save file." He did it anyway, and I had to start over a few times, and then I found out about Missing No and stuff like that, and I started spreading that rumor with, like, my cousins and stuff like that, and I said, like, "Hey, if you keep Missing No in your game for too long, it wrecks your game," and my aunt was like, "That's not true. They wouldn't put something in the game like that. They don't do it on purpose."
It's a glitch.
Yeah, but she's old, and she's the aunt, as everyone knows her. So played that for a while, and then I found out that there were other games, because of course there were other games, but I just never thought about it before. My stepdad at the time was like, "You've been playing that Pokemon an awful lot. Do you want to play something else?" I was like,
"There are other things?"
And I was like, I didn't realize that was an option. So we went to Toys R Us, wall-to-wall games, and I had my first experience with choice paralysis. So I walked over and I looked at the box art, and I saw Super Mario Land.
Uh-huh.
The one on the Game Boy Color. No, Game Boy Original. Super Mario Land. And
oh, God.
It's bad, but I didn't play Mario at that point. My only experience with it was I didn't play NES and stuff like that until I was older. Got it, brought it back, played it a bunch of times, and then we would constantly go back and I would pick up the older games because the older games were always cheaper than the Game Boy Color games. Then when the Game Boy Advance came out just a couple of years later, I got the Game Boy Advance, and then the Game Boy Advance was my entire existence for a long time, until my grandmother took it away from me to punish me. And she said, "You'll get it back when I say you can have it back," instead of telling me an exact time that I could have it back. And she left it up on top of the fridge and left it there, and I had to ask about it a month later, and she said, "You asked me about it, you gotta wait longer." And she did that a couple of times, so I stopped asking entirely, and I come back a year later, and I saw my cousin playing it, and they were like, "Grandma gave it to me." And I said, "Hey, what's up with that?" And she's like, "Oh, you weren't playing it, so I gave it to Ben." I was like, "Of course I wasn't playing it. You took it from me." And that was the first time that I ever cursed my grandmother out, which, looking back, that's probably why she doesn't like me. But also,
her.
Don't give away that ain't yours.
Like, her.
That's
I would have told, honestly, if my grandma had done that, I probably would have told my mom. My mom would have been like, "No, that's hers.
Yeah.
Give it back." And it was like, "Hell yeah, Mom. Get her.
I didn't think about it, and I was playing other things at this time. I had a DS at this point, I think, and I was still upset by it because it was mine.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I had a regular DS that could still play Game Boy Advance cartridges. It's incredibly messed up. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't f***ing do that."
And then, because of Pokemon and games like that, my entire, taste has become RPGs. It's gotten to the point that if it doesn't have RPG mechanics in it, I probably won't even think about playing it. And that's how it's come to be. If there's not a form of meta progression, they know not to recommend it to me. Yeah, that's it. I also play a lot of shooters. I play a lot of Call of Duty and stuff like that. I got hooked on that when I went to a lock-in with my cousin, and they had Xboxes there, and he was like, "Oh, you don't need to bring your consoles, probably just your DS." And I went, and they had a LAN party set up. My first and only LAN party. And a lot of y'all listening to this, you probably never experienced a LAN party, and you never will. It's when you take a console or computers and you hook them up via an Ethernet lines, and you play together using those systems, kind of like the internet, except you do it in person and only with the people that are hooked up there. And LAN parties are harder to win at because there's zero latency in a LAN party. So you don't have lag, you don't have stuff like that to worry about. When people are better than you, they are very better than you in those games. So I didn't get to play very much because they wanted to win. But we played Halo 2 a lot, and then they got tired of that and they switched over to Conquer on the Xbox. which was surprising because this was out of school.
I forgot that Conquer had a multiplayer mode on Xbox.
Yeah, they weren't playing it for the multiplayer mode. They were playing the story mode, surprisingly.
Oh.
But yeah, they had Xbox originals, and from that point onwards, I have never encountered anyone who's had an Xbox original besides Nicole, and that's where I got my Xbox originals from Nicole. The Xbox original, surprisingly powerful. It's more powerful than the PS2 because it came in late, so a lot of the multi-platform games that play on that are actually better on the Xbox version. But the games are also very cheap because no one buys for Xbox. Yeah, I think that wraps up everything. We got any more stories?
So, when you were talking about how you didn't know that you can get more games for your Game Boy Color, that just reminded me of this little store in California that I used to go to because I played like a lot of Pokemon too. Like that was like my favorite game for like a big part of my childhood. And there's this little dinky store that smelled awful, and I just remember it going in there to buy, or not buy, like they did this like weird like lending system where like you could like pay to like rent it essentially. And you couldn't buy any more until you brought the other one back. And this was like a big thing with this store, and I don't know if they still do it or not. But like if you looked at some of those Game Boy cartridges of red and blue that I own, you'll see like they have.
You rented it and never brought it back.
Yeah,
I did that a few times too with Blockbuster, and I actually checked my bill. I owed them a few $1,000s. Good thing they shut down.
But. It was probably one of the most iconic stores, despite being like the most like shitty one I've ever been in, because I remember it's distinctly having like Goku on the front of it, painted in like a spray paint mural on the front,
and it was hella scuffed looking.
It was so scuffed, and I still remember the name of it too because it is still open till this day. Yeah, I remember it because it smelled like smoke, and there was a parrot in the back behind the counter. It was so nuts because they had like different walls with each like console put on it, and then in the front was all the Game Boy games like in a little display case.
Yeah.
And I remember the first game I ever got from there was like Super Mario Land or something for like the Game Boy Color.
I just remembered like I've been poor like my whole life, even as like a kid up until adulthood. We're still poor.
We're still poor.
Yeah, but so when I was hearing stories about how Rook's mom was giving away their consoles and stuff like that, my mom would never do that stuff because, like, getting video game consoles was, like, it meant not eating for a little while. And my mom did intentionally starve herself a few times to try and afford a video game console for me. And I remember that, and that's kind of stuck with me. Your parents care more about you than you think they might, and they show it in weird ways, and you sometimes don't realize it until you're really grown. And looking back on it, it's like, I knew it was happening, but as a kid, it's like...
You get the blinders on.
Kids are selfish.
Yeah.
One of the bigger games that stuck with me was Medieval, but I didn't own Medieval. I had a demo disc for it.
So that's why you were so very hyped about it when it got a remake, and you got it and played it a lot.
Yeah, I remember playing it all the way through when the demo ended, and I would play it over and over again a lot of the time.
I did that a lot with Wind Waker on the collector's edition of Zelda, because it had a 15-minute demo on it that you could play, and I tried to get as far as
you could with just 15 minutes.
Yeah, I had the Master Collection too. When I got my GameCube, I grew up with Pikmin and Luigi's Mansion, and then I got Collector's Edition. I don't know how I got the Master Collection.
Did y'all get memory cards with your systems, or did you have to wait and get them later?
I had to wait and get mine later because my parents didn't know that that was a thing you could do.
Same with both the GameCube and the PS2. We already know that the PS2 didn't come with memory cards, but the GameCube didn't come with it too.
I think I got my memory cards because like all my consoles were always on Christmas, so I got both.
I got, for my birthday, I got a PS2 and Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2, and I loved Dragon Ball Z. Like, it was the thing that I watched all the time. We didn't have cable, but I would buy the VHS tapes and watch them, and then I was subscribed to the Dragon Ball magazine. and I loved Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2 was on it, and I didn't have a memory card. So I played Budokai 2 a lot, and didn't have a memory card, and I was like, okay, you can't turn the console off, because if you turn the console off, I lose my save, because we don't have a memory card. And my mom was like, okay, we'll get you a memory card. 3 days come by, PlayStation 2 still on, and I was like, we should really get a memory card, because if it turns off, I lose my save. And it eventually got turned off, and I lost my save. But we got a memory card later, and I played through it. I actually ended up getting a GameCube before the memory card.
That's funny.
And the GameCube came with Super Mario Sunshine. My mom was dating a guy at the time who was a naval officer of some sort, and he was on military base, and he got a super discount that way.
Super Mario Sunshine was another one I really liked, but my cousin was like the only one who had it, and he also had Luigi's Mansion as well. But eventually, his sisters like chewed all the cords for like the thing.
Sisters chewed the cords?
Yes, they had this weird I don't know what the hell it was, but they like to chew on everything. It was weird.
Pica?
It might have been Pica. I don't know. But they chewed on the AV cables to the point you couldn't stick it in the TV anymore.
That's like a dog and cat thing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
something a hamster or a cat would do. Like, I would dip my cords in hot sauce to make sure that doesn't happen again.
But, yeah, and eventually his dad, sold his GameCube, and so he's like, well, I don't got a GameCube anymore, so if you want these, you can have them. So that's where the Luigi's Mansion and Mario Sunshine that I have came from.
If you've got kids that chew on cords, there's nothing off limits that they won't chew on. How do you own things around kids like that?
Yeah.
How do you not do something about that?
You don't own things around with kids like that.
It's like having rabbits.
Reverse bear trap.
Reverse bear trap. Alright, so I think that's going to wrap it up for this one. The next episode, we will actually be talking about a game. We'll be talking about Golden Sun, which was Mabel's recommendation. As soon as I mentioned that, as soon as I came up with the idea for the podcast and told Mabel about it, and everyone agreed that, yeah, it sounds like something fun, Mabel was like, we're playing Golden Sun. We didn't even decide an order of who was going to get to play. Mabel just said, we're doing Golden Sun. So we've all played Golden Sun already, and we wrote down our notes for it, and in the next episode we'll talk about Golden Sun for the Game Boy Advance. For now, though, let's talk about some things we're going to plug. You should be watching my YouTube channel, Sera's Things, on youtube.com, at Sera's Things, and also my second channel, Sera's Second Disc, where the rest of the game is. All right, Connie, anything you want to plug?
I got nothing.
All right, and Rook.
You can follow me on Twitter at ThatUpDog, or you can follow my art account at ThatUpDogArt, where I haven't posted art in about a year.
You're not on Blue Sky yet?
No, I am.
You should definitely move to Blue Sky if you haven't yet.
I mean, you can follow me on Blue Sky at Impadimp.
I guess on Blue Sky I'm at ThatUpDog, and on Blue Sky on my second account.
Speak up.
On Blue Sky on my second art account at Blue Sky ThatUpDogArt. Which, again, I haven't posted art in about a year.
Okay. And then mine is just Sera's Things. And, yeah. Connie,
Another plug is get Wi-Fi anywhere you go.
Alright.
Like the plug
So, if you're watching this,
asshole.
if you're listening to this on Spotify or something like that.
What?
I like to plug Connie's asshole because she has the most rancid farts. Is that a
I haven't
thing?
farted.
Yet. You haven't farted
All right.
yet, but we're in close proximity, and I'd like to get ahead of it.
If you haven't yet,
What are you
make sure you rate the podcast on whatever format they use, likes or whatever.
Just push all the
And then
buttons.
comment if you haven't had a comment or whatever. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one.
Share to your 90-year-old grandmother who can have a stroke after hearing this episode.
Yeah. They're talking about video games, but they're not showing anything.
So wait, you joined this podcast just to listen to video games?
I think they're used to that. They grew up with the radio.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Same thing. All right, bye.
Bye.
Later!
Gotta
Bye.
love bad bitches.